Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. My husband of 5 years cheated on me. How did I find out? I walked in on him and his affair partner in our room on our bed. It turns out he had been cheating on me for quite a while. We've had our differences lately, but I never expected that this was the reason. I kicked them both out and contacted a divorce attorney immediately. Before I caught them, I was out on a business trip. It took more time than I expected. I was there for about a month and a half, and I was originally supposed to return 15 days later. If I had, I would have never caught him in the act. My attorney and I were about to send him divorce papers. We shared a lot of property. I could destroy him in court with the proof I had, but he didn't know that. Before we could send him the papers, he had made the first move. He accused me of cheating and denied all allegations of cheating on me. He had some type of proof, but I had never cheated on him. My attorney and I discussed our future moves, and we decided to let him drag us to court. Since he had false evidence, he was going to commit perjury. That idiot had no idea that he was going to walk into my trap. The court date was set. His family sided with him and I didn't care. I was enraged, absolutely furious. My anger was boiling within me, but I didn't let it leak. I was going to annihilate him and his posse. My family supported me. I had even tracked down a few of his mistresses. He had no idea. We had a joint account, and I immediately had it frozen the day I caught him. My attorneys made sure nothing was moved from any of our accounts or properties. As I dug in more, I found more evidence. It was very easy to acquire credit details. His credit card for our joint account had multiple expenditures, from designer bags to expensive dinners. I know what evidence he had submitted, and I could easily turn it around. There were pictures of me and my new business partner having dinner and then going up. We had gone up to one of the private meeting places where the rest of our partners would join us. My husband wasn't aware of my recent business dealings. The business meeting had taken around 3 hours. I bet he thought that my walking out with my business partner that late would be enough proof. The court date arrived. The hearing started. He presented his evidence. My lawyers took over and presented ours. I had asked my business partners, including my new one, to be witnesses. One of them owned the hotel we were at and provided pictures of all of us leaving it a few minutes after each other. He, my husband, had forged a few pictures of me and my other associates, and I could easily prove that it wasn't me, as I had been in multiple meetings around that time. I had my travel and meeting schedules with me. He was nervous at this point. I noticed his little habit of fidgeting when things don't go his way. Then my evidence was presented. I presented the credit card records first. Then I had messages from the women he had slept with. He shouldn't have left his home laptop at the house. His lawyers thought that was it, but then my team went in for the kill. Before leaving, I had set up a new security system. Cameras were set up all around my house. To make sure they were working, I set one up in my room, and I forgot to set it up somewhere else before leaving. Thank God I had forgotten. The camera was set up 2 days before I left on my trip. His lawyers tried to make it look like I was spying on him, but I had the security person on a video call explaining that he had asked me to do that. The recordings showed my husband bringing multiple women into our house. At first, I thought it was only one, but he had over 10 women over at the house while I was gone. I looked at his family, and they sat there in disbelief. Their son had committed perjury, provided false evidence and testimony, and falsely accused me. His whole team was doomed, and they knew it. At the end of the hearing, I won. I watched his face as the judge gave the verdict in my favor, his face when he realized he had lost it all. It was so satisfying. He looked at me, and I smirked at him and walked out. Everything was mine now. He was going to serve jail time and pay a huge fine. He had dug his grave, and I was more than happy to bury him in it. Over the next few days, my lawyers sorted out all my documents and property papers. I made sure his expenses were put on him. The joint account was mine now, and I wasn't going to pay his expenses. His family tried contacting me, and I had my lawyers handle them. If they had anything to say, they could contact my lawyers. I wasn't going to give that a-hole or his family a penny. My parents understood my rage. His betrayal had made me ruthless. He not only cheated on me, but also tried to steal everything from me. His reputation was crushed. I made sure the news reached all of his partners and the rest of his family. That MF deserved it. 2 months later. It has been 2 months, a day ago. I broke down crying. From the time he cheated on me until now, this was the first time I cried. It was raw and painful. It hurt like a bitch. I couldn't cry when I walked in on them. I didn't shed a tear, but now, after everything that happened, I feel drained. I loved him, past tense. I was in love with him. I didn't think he would turn out to be such a cruel person. I guess it goes both ways. I didn't think I could ever be this ruthless towards him or his family, but I knew I needed to be. I'm going to go to therapy so I can move past this. I don't want to live my life stuck in a loop. It was time to move past this anger and this pain. He is in jail, by the way. I haven't contacted him or his family. He had tried to contact me. Who knows why? I decided to cut off all of them before the hearing, and I've stuck to that. My family is very supportive. I'm grateful for my business partners too. I had a lot of help and support from them during this time. 1 month later. Some of you have asked me questions about the division of assets. I cannot give you a proper answer to that. My attorneys helped me handle everything related to our assets. They helped me list them and they made sure everything was in proper order. What I can tell you is that you have to be careful with this. You cannot go to court and then say you forgot about a certain property or necklace, etc. They could charge you for that. I cannot give details on my ex-husband's sentence either, but he is going to be in there for a while. The ex-husband is an a-hole. He freaking cheated on her with multiple women. What the frick? And then he accused her of cheating on him? What was this a-hole thinking? People like him should rot in jail. OP served him cold revenge, and I'm here for it. I'm glad she wasn't some naive fool who didn't know what to do or didn't want to hurt anybody. Those types of people have everybody walk all over them. And then ask God why this happened. Because you let it happen, fools. I used to be that type of person, so this is personal. Thank you for listening to me vent. She got everything, and that idiot left his laptop at home. Bloody man whore. Those messages would have been enough to prove OP's point. He was one of the worst types of people. He tried to take everything from her after wronging her. Sick, manipulative, sadistic a-hole. The audacity he had to smirk at OP. I bet he wouldn't last a second alone with her. His little gang of lawyers wasn't able to save his ass. OP's ex-husband's whole family are the a-holes. They were in on it, for sure. I would have paid money to see those a-holes go down. That is why being aware of everything, even if you're at your worst and overwhelmed by emotions, is important. OP's decision to freeze all the accounts was key to all of this. He could have emptied the accounts of all the money and she would have been left with nothing. I bet he was still with his mistress for the night. More than 10 women in a month and a half? I'm not one to judge, but while you are married, there has to be something deeply wrong with you to inflict this type of pain on your partner. I don't even want to imagine the type of pain she experienced while looking at the video recordings of her house and her room. She didn't even cry. It must have been so numbing. She has finally let all her emotions out, and I pray she recovers her strength to move on. I, 33, female, was diagnosed with rare cancer in August and told I could potentially only have 1 to 2 years to live. Treatment would be aggressive, so I was to start short-term disability ASAP. I was an emergency medical dispatcher for 10 years. My fiance worked on the ambulance for years and had already put in a transfer request to dispatch. With the understanding he absolutely required days to care for me at night, it was approved. Our chain of command is S, and then the manager, L. S and I have been very close for nearly 10 years. She was even present when I was diagnosed and knew what was coming. She also loved working with my husband and was our maid of honor. Out of nowhere, S and L say they're moving him temporarily to nights, meaning it could be months. I told S this wouldn't work. We had said he required day shifts. But instead, the other new hire was given the day slot so they could work directly with their girlfriend. Favoritism is pretty blatant here. His first night shift, I had a fall from weakness, prompting my elderly mother to stay during his shifts. At this point, I was getting nowhere with S, and L was out indefinitely due to a personal emergency. I told S there were unethical practices happening, and if I was forced to go all the way to the VP to ask him why, then I would, but I didn't want to. Just to be clear, I was literally never once disrespectful to her, and I was probably way more transparent than I should have been because she was an old friend. She then told me she'd no longer talk about work with me as it jeopardized her job. With no supervisor, we were forced to go to HR. S tried lying, saying I said night shift would be fine, so I had to draw up a very detailed timeline and include emails, screenshots of texts, etc., just to prove our side. We also submitted FMLA and ADA paperwork. HR called stating he'll be moved to days within a week. I've never heard them sound that nervous in all my time there. Clearly, somebody screwed up big time and got caught. No idea to what extent, but obviously S got in trouble and completely ghosted me. She refuses to even speak to or look at my husband in the office. I told her I was going to expose whatever unethical practices were happening. I just naively didn't think she was a part of it, but I think she thought we wouldn't push the issue because he and I are both very laid back people, generally speaking. I never wanted her job to get screwed up in this process, but I also feel like if she got caught, she should be held accountable. She's causing harm to people. I just feel bad because I had to put everyone on blast to HR to prove what he and I were saying was true, and I'm sure she felt betrayed. Have you ever heard the term fair weather friend? That is what S has shown herself to be. Practices like FMLA and ADA accommodations exist for a reason, and she ducked up big time. HR was nervous because there's a lot of fines for businesses that don't follow the rules she clearly ignored. I'm so sorry to hear about your diagnosis, and I wish you well with your treatment. May good health and peace find you. NTA. NTA, you didn't do this to her. She did this to herself. You requested reasonable accommodations. You and your husband follow the rules. S did not. Simple as that. Don't lay down and take disrespect under the auspice of friendship. You did the right thing. Count yourselves lucky to be free of a false friend and dishonest person. I hope for a full and expedient recovery for you. Ignore all this nonsense. Focus your energy on getting strong. I sincerely hope for the best for you. I'd gone on a few dates with a guy, Ben, who I met through mutual friends, and he'd stayed over my place last Friday. On Saturday, he got up to shower and invited me to join him. But when I came in, the bathroom stunk like piss, to be honest. And he was literally standing in the shower pissing on the wall. Like when he was expecting me to join? I don't know what he was thinking. The shower reeked, and he just peed on the wall that isn't even near the drain that has rough-shaped natural stone tiles that are hard to clean. I yelled at him to use the damn toilet, and he just kept peeing on the wall. Till he stopped, and I was like, "What the frick are you doing?" And he was like, "Don't pretend you don't pee in the shower." And I told him, I literally don't. I piss in the toilet. And hell, even if he acts like that at home, Why do you think it's all right to piss on my frickin' wall? He was being all condescending, like, calm down, and girl, chill. And of course, being to calm down never works. I was like, don't frickin' tell me to calm down. Go clean up after yourself and get out. And I grabbed a bottle of bathroom tub and tile cleaner and gave it to him. I left him alone to clean up, and he came out like, is this bleach? And I was like, nah, it's tub cleaner. And he said it smelled like bleach. And did I really just give him bleach to use on pee? Because you can't do that. I was like, I genuinely don't give a frick. That's the cleaner I got. He went to clean the bathroom and open the window because he was saying you can't use bleach on pee because of some chemicals. But anyway, after that, I told him to head out. I thought it was just super nasty and weird, to be honest. I don't know if this is weird for me, but I'd be happy to have a whole relationship never seeing my partner's bathroom activities. Let alone after a few dates without asking? What the frick? And it's just so inconsiderate to not even think of cleanup. Like, what idiot pees on the far wall of the shower where water doesn't even run over? On rough rock? Dude's just pissing on my walls at that point. So to me, it was pretty obviously nasty as hell and not cool. But I got a call from the mutual friend who introduced us saying he heard I kicked him out at 6 a.m. for peeing in the shower. I was like, yeah. And he was like, and then you made him clean with bleach? Bleach on urine? That causes chlorine gas. And I was like, how was I supposed to know that? I gave him my tub and tile cleaner. My friend told me I was out of line, and he regretted introducing us because he figured I'd be chill. I was like, dude, would you be chill if I came by and pissed on your stuff? He said, it's not pissing on my stuff. Everyone pees in the shower, so does he. I was like, I really don't need to know that about you, honestly. AITA for kicking my date out for peeing on my shower wall in front of me? Oh my, what? NTA. So hard, NTA. Even if you did pee in your shower, even if it's normal, I'll leave that for someone else to decide. And even if you weren't going to join him in the shower, how does this dude think it's normal to do that in someone else's shower? Your own bodily fluids are obviously a completely different story. It's no argument at all to say everyone pees in the shower because it's not his shower. And to do it right in front of your face? What the hell? He was feeling way too comfortable. No one wants to see that from a guy they've been dating for such a short time. I wouldn't even want to see it from a partner of 10 years. Block this man and the friend because they've got weird-ass standards. My younger sister, Tessa, has been with Brian since her freshman year of high school, currently seniors in college. My mom has always loved Brian and treated him like family. He has some issues with his own mom and spent most of his time at our house. 6 months ago, Brian pranked my wife on a family trip by destroying all of her makeup. She found it in the toilet and in the sink filled with water and was irate. I've never seen her like this. We woke my mom up screaming and demanding she find out who did it. She didn't seem to think it was a big deal and tried to go back to sleep. Finally, she realized we were serious, so she woke Tessa, Brian, our other sister, and her boyfriend up to get to the bottom of it. Brian couldn't keep a straight face and finally admitted to it. My mom again tried to act like it wasn't a big deal, but I cussed Brian out and demanded he replaces everything. We came up with an estimate which was just over $1,000. Makeup is her passion. And my mom paid it because she said Brian was just a college kid. I was pretty pissed and we cut contact with Brian. It has since been implied that he was bribed with a fancy watch to do this and everyone was drunk. But to me, there is no excuse. I still don't frick with Brian. Well, my mom is currently planning a wedding and was talking about how she has no one to walk her down the aisle as she is mad at her father, but she feels like it's weird to not have someone. Brian volunteered and she was clearly really moved by it and said yes. I internally felt sick. I told my mom that if she publicly honored Brian like that, I would not be able to go. My mom seemed really taken aback and said I was being crazy and we need to put this aside for a wedding. I said I was sorry, but I could not go if Brian was in a position of honor because what he did was despicable. My mom said I was selfish and an a-hole and was like, fine, don't come. Brian got mad and said I was punishing my mom, and Tessa was screaming at me, calling me selfish and a horrible son. TA, it's not about the damn makeup. It is about not respecting someone's items. It's about how Brian had zero consequences for his actions since OP's mother paid. This wasn't a 5-year-old who did the prank. No, it was a grown-ass adult who disrespected someone's items and didn't give two shits. OP is mad because his mother doesn't care about his and his wife's property and allows Brian's actions to go unnoticed. It was never about the prank makeup. It was about the lack of respect regarding their property and zero accountability for Brian.